Hey, Eastern Oregon, thank you for joining us on this July the 8th on AM on EOAlive. Your connection to Eastern Oregon. We're glad you're here with us. How are you, man?
Awesome. It's Thursday. BC, I almost forgot.
Oh yeah. You'll have to show them. We have a little live. Yeah, can you reach it? There you go. On the air. So that's on the studio wall, because there are times, or just the studio window, by the studio window, because there are times that people will come up and put their nose right against the window. Yeah, while you're doing your thing.
It's ridiculous. They'll just stand there and stare at me, and I can't look back at them.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that will make it any better. I mean, if anything, it might make it more tempting. It's like,
yeah, I need a curtain, like one of those little privacy, like, you know. But then that would kind of negate the point of having a window, right?
That's exactly right.
Hey, yeah. BC, how do you get a country girl's attention?
How?
A tractor.
Oh.
That's a good one.
I grew up around farming and ranching in Wyoming, and that song, "She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy." It's like,
yeah, it really turns her on.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Apparently, I got a tractor stuck out at my aunt and uncle's one time when I was about 13. It was not good. Yeah, I had an old International, and I had that thing. I was raking the field, and whoo, that thing was stuck.
Yeah, when you get a tractor stuck, it's a deal.
Well, that's all that land down below down there on Hunter is all floodplain. Yeah, so it's all wet. I mean, it's like once you get a certain distance out into the valley there's the floodplain, and it's all just, I mean, it is muck.
Did you know that I was talking to one of the farmers, and that area around Alicel, they call like Sandy Hill or something like that. Yeah. And I said, well, what? And they said, well, yeah, you can't really tell, but there's a little bit of an elevation change at that part. And a lot of that soil is more sandy, which means they just have to irrigate it more and stuff. It requires more water to yield the same amount of stuff. So
one of the things that a lot of people that don't know, well, some people know, is this valley used to be underwater.
Right.
I mean, it was all underwater at one time.
Well, and that's why when the Oregon Trail came through, it actually came around the edge. I mean, it came
because there was water.
Yeah, it was a swamp. There weren't going out. Yeah,
that water disappeared about as fast as the water in the rivers disappearing.
Say that again.
That water disappeared about as fast as the water in the rivers disappearing.
Yeah. Every
year that the Grand Ronald River is lower and lower.
Yeah. Well,
fire up on the pass yesterday. They must have got it put out because I haven't heard anything more of it. My friend was driving from La Grande to the Portland area, and he filmed. There was they had bucket bombers, and you could see the smoke. It was up on Catherine Creek.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, hey, let's look at our weather. Yeah. Oh, not that one right there.
It's going to be 65 degrees and balmy.
It was sure beautiful this morning. I mean, in the middle of the night, it was like really cool and nice finally, So yeah.
92 clear and hot.
Yep.
I'm okay with that. That's not bad. If you got air conditioning.
But it's going to be hot at the end of the day, 90. And then tomorrow,
same thing.
Looks like the same thing. Yep.
Almost identical.
So, and we don't get to mention this enough, but thanks for Nate Conklin for sponsoring our weather and our weather kid, Gabe. And if you have not followed Gabe, he's putting out, it probably dropped on our Facebook page about right now. He's got a little bit of a weather thing along with this photo from today, and kind of giving a weather brief. So be sure.
Hey, and just so you guys know, he does all that himself. Like we don't feed him information. He's the forecaster. He puts it all together himself. He
Yeah.
sends it to us, and we just put it in a presentable format. We put an opening and a closing on it, and he's a one-man show.
Yep. So, hey, let us know our comments are working today. I'm not seeing it on my phone again today, so I don't know if they are or not. But let us know you're here. We always appreciate your comments and questions as we go along. We're going to have Shane Mahoney come and join us. Let's just bring him in right now and kind of have him talk to us. Shane, how you doing this morning? Can you hear us?
Good, thank you. Good to be here.
Good.
I hear you fine. I hope you hear me well.
Good. Yeah, we do. So Shane is from the Puget Sound area, and you guys have a club of old airplanes that have been antique airplanes. There's the word I'm looking for. Antique airplanes that have been restored and clearly are functioning and flying. And you guys are planning an event, and you guys are going to be here at our local airport this Sunday afternoon. And it sounds really cool. Talk to us about how you got into this first, because that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting club. It's called the Puget Sound Antique Airplane Club, and it was founded back in about 1970 by a few guys that hung out in their hangar restoring an old airplane, and they wanted to share what they had done with people. So they started this gathering, I guess you call it, just a few guys in the beginning, hanging out in the hangar, having donuts and coffee every so often. And now it's become a club that anybody can join. You don't have to own an airplane. You don't have to be a pilot. You just have to like old airplanes, I guess. And we meet a few times a year, and we're always busy in the summer. And every other year, we organize what we call our air tour. Air tour, the idea behind that is to take any and all of these airplanes we can and fly around the country and show our things to the public. Partly to promote aviation, and partly to share what these folks have done. So it's a fun club. It's very social. It's very welcoming to everybody. And I don't know. Pipe can
we lost him.
He on.
Yeah, he'll be back in a minute. So, but for those of you that have not been tracking, so he will be this is this Sunday, the 11th, and here he's back. I'll pull him in. All right, you there?
Yes, I have poor internet. Yes, I do. I have poor internet service here, so that's the best I can do.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I heard you talking about our agenda. So
yeah,
that's this particular year is one of the years we're taking a tour, and we've got about 42 airplanes. Not all of them are antiques. We welcome everybody.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll be bringing I'm not bringing my old Piper. I'm bringing an experimental that flies a little faster and more comfortable this time. And we're arriving in La Grande on Sunday, starting probably around noon. But we've asked all our pilots to be there by 2 o'clock, at which time we'll be welcomed out on the tarmac to be able to walk around the airplanes, talk to the pilots, look but don't touch type thing. And you'll get to see a number of old antique airplanes that are actually flying. We call it a show of airplanes, not an airplane show. So we're showing airplanes and sharing them because these guys love to share their work. We've been known to give a ride or two, but there's nothing like that on the agenda. Sometimes it just has. Then I have a little feed there for ourselves at the airport, spend the night in town, leave some of our money in your town, and head out the next morning.
Wow. It sounds like a very cool thing. A total win for us. Yeah. So there's
no charge on your part. We just show up and show our airplanes and move on to the next town. We're hitting about 8 towns on this tour, some just for lunch and some overnight.
Wow. Can you run through that list, Kyle? Can you?
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now on there.
Okay.
I don't remember where it was at.
Okay, that's all right.
It was up on the right-hand side somewhere.
While he's doing that, I'll mention one thing. While he's doing that. And we of us are going tomorrow. Joseph is kind of a warm-up, if you will, because they have a little tomorrow and Saturday. That's not part of our air tour. It's just what some of us are doing.
Now, say that we missed that, Shane. What are you guys doing tomorrow?
Lost him again.
Yeah. He'll be back here in a second.
I can tell you one thing. I don't know what would be worse, flying in an antique plane or flying in a experimental plane. You ain't catching me in either one of those. I promise you that. Not in a million years. You could pay me $1 million. No way. If it has antique or experimental in front of it, if it has airplane in the title at all, I'm not in it.
Yeah, well, if it's anything like a foot off the ground.
No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but you did play basketball occasionally, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, did you ever jump off the ground though? I mean, did your feet ever lose the floor? Yeah,
not much. Try to stay as close to the ground as possible. I have a lot of surface area to hit the ground, so I try to stay off of on the ground.
We're always looking for people to lay on their back and wipe the oil off these antiques.
I'd rather do that than fly in it. I promise you that.
So Shane, you were talking about you said something you're doing tomorrow and Saturday, and I missed that. We missed that.
Yeah, sorry about the internet here, but we're going to Joseph, Oregon. They're having an air show tomorrow and Saturday, so about half of us are going there for that, and then starting the air tour in La Grande. La Grande is the first day of our air tour.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the schedule's here, right here. I highlighted it. La Grande, Napa, Emmett, Buell, Blackfoot, Jerome, and then ending in Ontario.
That sounds just like a ton of fun. Yes. I mean, so is having an airplane or being in an airplane club, is it kind of like, being in a car club, only more intense? Are there some similarities?
It is. It's quite similar. You gather, you have a few beverages, you might have a speaker at one of your meetings that describes a restoration project, have a few more beverages, and it's really very social, and it includes the whole family usually. But most of us are a little bit older, so the family is typically your spouse and maybe a pilot son or daughter of yours. We do have some active flying women in this organization, which you'll see and visit with as well. One of our pilots is a lady that's retired 747 captain. She'll be on the tour. And there'll be some young ladies, 16 and a 17-year-old, that are flying with their instructors on the tour and flying some antiques. So it's a pretty diverse, interesting group. It's not just a bunch of good old boys like it was when it first started.
It sounds very interesting.
I highly encourage the public to bring their families, bring their kids, and bring their daughters that may want a career they haven't thought of. It's really enlightening to talk to some of these folks. And some of the best part of these tours are not the airplanes; they're the stories and the people that you meet, and the discussions about airplanes. They can be really interesting.
Hey, Shane, when you say experimental aircraft, what does that mean? Because if you put experimental in front of aircraft or in front of submarine, I'm definitely out.
Yeah, there's a few airplanes on our tour that are experimental, and what that means basically is somebody built it in their garage.
Oh.
Now, that doesn't mean they did it on their own knowledge. They might have bought a kit, or they might have bought a project, or they might have took a certified airplane and rebuilt it into something experimental. But basically, it means the FAA has not run it through its full certification process for things that can be used commercially and otherwise. But it does oversee the project a bit, and there's not too many experimentals on this. Most of them are certified airplanes from back in their day.
So the process of
I've got a list.
Yeah, I was just the process of, if I understand right, the process of having a certified aircraft is extensive. And so then if somebody builds an aircraft or something, or they're altering it, like what you said, or restoring it, and maybe it's not quite up to the registered, then it's classified as experimental, which then there are limitations. You can't charge people. I don't know. Just briefly talk about the limitations of an experimental aircraft versus a certified.
Right. There's a number of different classifications, but you've basically hit it. If it's an experimental airplane, you don't use it for hire. You can use it in your business, like to go from business meeting to whatever, but you can't use it for hire. And there's some limitations. Some countries don't recognize them for allowing. But for the most part, we use them like any other airplane, for our type of use, for general use.
You ever had a close call?
I have a list of airplanes here. Say again?
Well, I just said, you ever have a close call?
What was that, Dotsy?
You ever had a close call?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had a close call where my muffler came apart inside the muffler and plugged the exhaust. And I did a take. I was at about 70% power and made it, but didn't got a good scare out of it. But yeah, we've all had some issue, but it usually takes multiple issues to put you down, and so I don't know of anybody in our club personally that's had any issues, but they've all been scared once or twice.
So talk to you. Yes.
I have a list
go ahead.
in front of me. List in front of me of the airplanes that are coming, and we've got 5 or 6 big old bi-wing airplanes, Stearman, N3N. We've got a beautiful 1943 Howard, which is something you saw an executive fly back in the day that seats 5 or 6 people. Beautiful leather interior. We've got a number of older Cessnas. We've got some old Interstates, Piper Cub, an old Beechcraft, old Pipers, old Taylorcraft. If you or your grandfather ever flew in an old airplane, chances are they are quite familiar with one of these. And of course, we have a number of Cessnas of different vintages. There's a 1930s Great Lakes scheduled to be on the tour, which is a little bi-wing airplane. And then there's a few experimentals, RVs, which is Van Grumson's experimental kit. That there's a few of those, a few Kit Foxes, which are a teeny little fabric airplane. Dotsy would love riding in that little airplane.
No way. Not in a million years.
Yes, and some of these are. And then
I can appreciate them though.
We'll have a little, and you have to appreciate what goes into restoring one of these and the time that goes into keeping them nice. These folks spend so much time keeping these airplanes in top shape that they just have to go show them and share it. You can't build something or maintain something so beautiful and hide it. You have to go share it, and that's what this tour is about.
It sounds very cool. I guess what I'm thinking is that, you know, the difference between having an old car and restoring it and going to a car show and having an old airplane is that you probably will survive the car breaking down along the side of the road, but the airplane, the stakes are a lot higher. I mean, it has to be maintained. It has to be reliable.
Yeah, maintenance is high priority, and one of the things nice about this particular tour is we often will pair up and fly in small groups of 2 or 3 airplanes. So you always have that extra eye. And I know on one tour, one of the guys said to the other, "Hey, you've got a vapor trail out the back of your airplane." So he turned around and went back to the airport, and sure enough, he had a fuel leak, which he quickly fixed. So there is safety in numbers, and we do watch out for each other, and that really helps flying an older airplane, believe me.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
Well, very cool. Well, so one more time, the details are this Sunday, the 11th. You guys are going to start landing about noon, and people can come in and watch you land, I think you said. And then they're actually going to open the gates around 2, and that's when people will be able to come out and walk around the airplanes and talk to the pilots, and you'll be there until 4 or 5, depending on the activity and how long it goes. And did I cover everything?
Yeah, we'll be there till 5:30 because we're eating a dinner in one of the hangars there at 5:30. So we'll be there, and you can look for anybody that's got this logo or one of these hats with this logo on it, and talk to them. That's one of our group. That's probably one of our pilots, and talk to them, ask them questions, participate, be part of the event. Don't just be the public watching. Please come out and watch. I often let kids sit in my airplane and tell them what's going on with the controls, and it's quite educational. And of course, we want to promote at the airports at these smaller towns to keep them alive, and we like to promote aviation in general as well.
No, it's awesome. I don't know for sure what my schedule is, but I'm going to try and be out there, try and bring my grandkids. And if I come out, I'll do a live stream early to kind of get people and remind them about the event and stuff. And I mean, I love airplanes, and I think this is very cool. It's awesome that you guys are coming to LeGrand.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to get Dodsey under my airplane. I have a little oil that's on there once in a while in the belly.
I'll be at softball. I'm calling a softball game all weekend. I have a radius with airplanes, especially them little ones, man. They scare the.
Ooh, yeah, well, you got it.
You'll have to let us know where your softball game. Maybe we'll buzz over on our way in.
We'll see you on the way in for sure. I mean, we're right at the base of the mountain, so we'll see you. There's no doubt.
Well, that's very cool.
Nice.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Shane. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I will connect with you on Sunday.
Thank you for helping us promote this. Great. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
You bet.
So that's Puget Sound Antique Airplane Club. They'll be here Sunday. They start landing around around noon. Between 12 and noon, they open up the gates at around 2 for people to mingle with the pilots, and you can sit there and talk and get some information, some education about antique airplanes.
Yeah.
And maybe go for a ride in an experimental airplane if you have
who knows? Yeah, I guess I can't. I think I'm gonna put some little wings on our step stool, and
that's about as far off the ground.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's about as far as you're gonna get off the ground.
Well, here's the thing. I look at it as you don't hear about all the wrecks from regular people, but you hear about the celebrity ones, and quite a few celebrities have died in them little airplanes.
Yeah.
And my ex-wife, her dad is a flying farmer. He's got Cessna and a couple other airplanes, and he offered to fly us to LeGrand from just outside of Albany, and I was like, nope. we have something with 4 wheels that stays on the ground. We can drive. I mean, it's not worth the couple hours to me.
I love flying, but you're right. It is. I was we took a flight with Rob Beck for Tanya's birthday, and he flew us out north of Elgin and then over to Wallowa County and Wallowa Lake and so on and so forth. And I asked him, I said, well, what do you do to prepare for some kind of an event, an engine loss or something? And he said, well, I'm scanning all the time for okay, I could land there. Okay, I could land there, But when you're out over the mountains, there is no soft, cushy landing. I mean, there's no big meadows or there's no big farm fields or whatever, So
you better hope your parachute works, and you better hope you don't hit a tree too hard on the way down.
Yeah, somebody was telling me somebody was in the office the other day talking about how they have those parachutes are a very cool thing, save lives, and it's a contraption that you put in your airplane. So. But their weight, I mean, they have some weight to them. And so when you put that in your expense, you put that in your airplane, then your capacity to carry goes down.
Well,
yeah.
What, are you going to fly at one of them little airplanes without parachutes?
The parachute, that's a fairly new thing. The parachutes on airplanes.
It is?
Yeah. Yeah. That's only. Yeah.
It's not in the military. They all have parachutes, ejector seats.
No, yeah, but we're talking about 2 different things. The parachute, they have parachutes for private airplanes now, for the whole airplane.
Oh, no, I was talking about parachutes for people.
For individuals, yeah.
Yeah, like where you could bail out if you have to, jump out the... No, I'm not doing it. No way. Could you imagine if you were up in an airplane? I saw this movie, Mallrats, and it's highly inappropriate what they say, but he tells this story about his uncle when he's in an airplane, right? And the engine cuts out, and they start talking about stuff that, before they die, about stuff that you wouldn't normally talk about,
Right. Yeah.
And then the engine cuts back on. And then they just have to go about their day. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's I can't unsay that.
No. I'm gonna die. Let me tell you all this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm not gonna die, and all this stuff now.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't think our comments are working.
They are.
No, are they? Hey, if you're listening and comment, keep us posted. All righty. Well, hey, do your thing, man.
Do
You got
my
your list?
fine? Of
Yeah.
course I do. I generally get here on time, BC,
Except for when you don't.
except for on the first day. 1776, on this day, Colonel John Nixon gave the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence to a bunch of citizens in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In 1796, on this day, July 8th, the U.S. State Department issued the first U.S. passport. On this day in 1870, U.S. Congress authorized registration of trademarks. In 1909, on this day, the first pro baseball game was played under lights. It was a minor league baseball game. 1909. In 1913, on this day, Alfred Carlton Gilbert's patent for the erector set is issued, and it's one of the most popular toys of all time. BC, did you have an erector set? You're about that
Yes.
age, aren't you?
Yep. I
Yeah,
did.
my generation didn't. Like, we didn't really play with erector sets. It was like the generation right before my generation.
Yeah. The truth is that I really wanted one, but they were expensive. And so, no, we didn't have one. I had friends that had them. So
Nice. In 2020, science and people studying genomic studies figured out that Americans and Polynesians made contact around 1200 AD. People from Eastern Polynesia had the same DNA as indigenous Colombians, which means that the islands and the South America were either closer together or there was some sort of transportation going on in 1200 AD.
interesting.
You want to know some interesting Oregon facts?
Yep, I do.
Portland, Oregon has more breweries than any other city in the world within its city limits. There's more than 60 breweries in the city limits of Portland.
Wow.
Portland, Oregon is also home to the most strip clubs per capita in the United States. But here's the cool one. Oregon is home to the deepest river gorge in the United States. Did you know that? Guess what one it is.
Deepest river gorge.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Snake River, I guess, is.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
Some people would say Columbia because that's like the first thing that pops to mind, but it
Right.
is. It's Hell's Canyon. It's the deepest river gorge in North America.
Yeah.
Not just the United States, North America, Canada included. You ready for the little special stuff for the day? Guess what the number one song was? 1991.
No clue. The same thing.
Bill Paula. I don't
Holy
mind keeping her up there.
Holy smokes.
And then quote for the day comes from the late great Bruce Lee. Defeat is a state of mind. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. One more time. Defeat is a state of mind. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. And that's Bruce Lee.
Boom.
This weekend, I'll be up at the college for the 14U state softball tournament. We have tomorrow, we will have a sports show and the weather coming out. Daily, we have nightly news roundup. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m. We have AM on EOAlive. We have a lot of stuff coming up. We got the East-West Shrine game coming up. My diet's going good. We're cruising right now, so pay attention. Follow us on Instagram at EOAlive.tv.
All righty.
See you on
all.
Tuesday.
Talk soon.